Let's talk about Sword Art Online. It's the third? Wait a minute, did Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood just pass it in the rankings? What the heck? Are you telling me I've been prepping for the wrong series now for over a week? That I've got to table what I've been working on in order to... Okay, let's try this again. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is the third most popular anime series on my anime list, and the highest rated show in the top 10. But does the 64-episode juggernaut deserve all the praise directed its way? Is its popularity earned? To which I say, yes, absolutely. Honestly, Brotherhood is one of the most well-crafted anime series I've seen in quite some time. In spite of its length, nothing feels wasted. Almost nothing feels wasted. Every adventure Edward and Alphonse go on furthers their story. The heroes and villains are complex, with the lines between the two often blurring in very compelling ways. Sure, the tightness of the script does result in occasional plot conveniences to keep things moving, but the broader story is so engaging as to overshadow any questionable underlying mechanics. My only real plot issue is with the end, as things wrap up a bit too conveniently. How, for example, did Hohenheim strip away the 50 million plus souls this father guy possesses with a mere 50,000 souls? Why bother paralyzing Jean or taking away Mustang's eyesight if they are just going to wind up getting those back? It undermines their sacrifices. Plus, how else can you explain this mustache he's got in the end credits? Mustang has to be blind. I especially like the cracks immediately being put into any notions of good and evil. McDougal, the freezing alchemist, while perhaps not the biggest threat to our heroes, is a great example of this. He's nuanced, believing what he's doing is right.
You saw the horrors that took place in Ishval. You were there, damn it. You know the things Bradley ordered us to do, the kind of man he really is.
This moment also serves to undermine the righteousness of King Bradley and the Amestrian government. There is something sinister at play. Not all is what it seems. This world, like our own, exists in shades of gray. Except for Kimberly. Either he's pure evil or just crazy.
I think you've got me all wrong. The reason I killed all of those men was because I could.
Which brings me to my favorite aspect of this series, Edward and Alphonse's morality.
No way, I'm not killing anyone for you.
And that's your choice. Your orders are simply to help us contain him.
This is a stance that would typically bother me, and initially it did. It's similar to my main issues with Batman, except for one key difference. Batman's villains are largely irredeemable. You're not meant to sympathize with the Joker or Bane, so sparing them comes off as irresponsible. In contrast, the bad guys in Brotherhood do show moments of humanity. That's why Edward's the protagonist. He values every life. So does his brother. Their experiences with death, first with their mother's passing, and then with the two of them nearly losing their lives trying to bring her back, have profoundly affected who they are, and neither would wish that kind of pain on anyone else. Edward isn't a great fighter. In fact, he often loses his battles. Most of the fight sequences suffer because of this. They don't feel that impactful because he refuses to finish his opponents. But the trade-off, this desire to save everyone, leads to some great moments.
To where you were born. Go back to nothing. Homunculus!
Let's just ignore that final battle, shall we? Edward's actions help change greed. He makes Envy realize just how jealous he is of humans, a revelation so traumatic for the homunculus that he takes his own life. He saves Scar, making the man reassess his blind hatred of state alchemists. He saves two of Kimberly's henchmen, and, through it, earns their loyalty. He treats every life, whether human, homunculus, or some lost soul, as valuable. In the first episode, he states his commitment to using non-lethal force, and he sticks with it. Mostly sticks with it. Not that this approach always works. There are times when his refusal to kill has very dire consequences, specifically when he holds back in the battle with Kimberly.
So you're determined not to kill. How admirable of you. You do realize the advantage that it gives your opponent though now, don't you? Instead of finishing me off, you've given me a second chance to kill you.
Here, Edward's decision not only jeopardizes his own life, it also allows Kimberly to escape and kill countless others. That's reality. While most humans may be primarily good, there are always going to be outliers. We don't know where our decisions will lead. We're not omniscient. Everything we do is going to have consequences. All we can do is make the best choices we can and accept what happens.
I'm gonna have to use my own life force, the same way I would use a stone. It'll probably take a few years off my lifespan, though. If this is really what showing mercy is gonna cost me, then I'm gonna have to learn to pay the price.
And I should probably get back to episode 1, as that's supposed to be the focus of this video. Kimberly isn't the only significant character to make an appearance here. Father, the ancient homunculus, shows up twice once McDougal activates all his transmutation circles. Another is King Bradley. Later, it gets revealed that he's a homunculus wrath, but we already get the sense that he's not one of the good guys for the ruthless way he kills the freezing alchemist. There's no hesitation. He never even speaks to McDougal before striking him down, and the exchange could hardly be more different from the Elric brothers' earlier battle with him, further cementing this idea that Bradley and the government might not be on their side. It's also worth noting the citywide array of transmutation circles themselves. The scale is smaller, but it's visually similar to the ones Father and Hohenheim activate during the anime's climax. I find that parallels like this make endings feel that much more satisfying, like we've come around full circle. There's this destiny element at play that just works so well. Another meaningful element is the small philosopher's stone we see roll away from McDougal after he's killed. Not only do these mysterious gems play a major part in this story, but we learn that this particular stone was given to him by lust, one of the 7 deadly sins. It's an early clue that powerful forces are manipulating events and that there's some larger plan in play. Its destruction also mirrors that of Father's philosopher's stone in the finale.
My stone! You destroyed my stone!
Okay, enough plot specifics for the pilot. Let's talk about the opening theme. We begin with a transmutation circle containing what appears to be 5 philosopher's stones, each of which has a face. This is the same depiction seen during the ritual that frees the main villain and turns Hohenheim immortal, and the faces likely represent all the human lives needed to make them. Then we see an older Edward reaching out towards the audience with 2 human hands, something he won't be capable of till the end of the series. We see their mother close a door, symbolizing her permanent separation from them. We see their house on fire, also a symbolic closing. They can never go back to the way things were. Childhood versions of Edward, Alphonse, and Winry appear sleeping in a bed, with both Edward and Winry's hands displayed in similar positions. This is perhaps a visual sign that they're destined to end up together. Throughout, there are also a whole bunch of cameos: gluttony, envy, lust, greed, wrath, Hughes, Mustang, Armstrong, Brosh and Ross, Hohenheim, Winry's grandmother, and a singing Hawkeye? Huh, not sure what that's all about. Most don't seem to have any deeper meaning to explore, but I did like the subtle way we're introduced to Scar. We see him sitting in the rain, eyes downcast, cluing us into his tragic backstory. Then he stands with renewed determination. The song ends with Edward ripping off his metal arm and chucking it at what I believe to be the Eye of God. The Elric brothers will eventually need to confront the Eye beyond the gate in order to get their bodies back. Moving on, there isn't a whole lot to the end theme that I could think of, but the amateur drawing style is fun, and we do get examples of a couple of the show's favorite running jokes: Armstrong ripping his shirt off and flexing, and people calling Edward short. Not great jokes from my perspective, but I suppose they are representative of the anime. That being said, I quite like the shot of Alphonse sitting on the floor in a library, a full moon visible in the background. There's also this combat sequence between Edward and Alphonse that showcases which of the brothers is the better fighter, something that, while not important, is brought up later on.
Right about now, my companion shall be finishing off the partner you left outside.
In that case, I don't need to worry. You see, we've been sparring partners a long time, and I've still never beaten him.
Towards the end, we emerge from Edward's State Alchemist Watch that contained inscription a reminder not to forget the past, and the last shot reverts to the show's typical animation style, with a younger Edward and Alphonse as they unwittingly create the future that will haunt them for years to come. Beware of what you attempt to create and bring into this world, as such pursuits may very well consume you, or something like that. I'm just fishing for meaning here, probably spouting nonsense. Overall, I quite enjoyed this episode. It's a fun introduction to the series, with central characters that don't get bogged down with details. More importantly, I really like the way the show handled Edward and Alphonse's refusal to kill. It's layered, complex, the line between good and evil is blurred, and yet the general message is still a positive one. That's always nice. I feel like so much of what's out there anymore is overly morbid. Anyway, these are just some of my thoughts on this show. Feel free to civilly discuss Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood down below, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.